So, fresh off his stellar Fox News town hall performance, releasing his taxes and record money haul, Democratic elites are going crazy over the idea of Bernie Sanders winning the Democratic primary. Now, I'm going to go to an article here in the New York Times that describes that fear that is, at this point, palpable inside of every cocktail circuit, swanky fundraising venue, and high paid consultancy office. Now, the story starts with some of the fear among wealthy liberal donors of a man called Bernie Sanders. Now, quote, when Lee Daughtry, former Democratic Party official, addressed a closed-door gathering of about 100 wealthy liberal donors in San Francisco last month, all it took was a review of the 2020 primary rules to throw a scare in them. Democrats are likely to go into their convention next summer without having settled on a presidential nominee, said Ms. Daughtry, who ran her party's conventions in 2008 and 2016. The last two times the nomination was contested, and Senator Bernie Sanders is well positioned to be one of the last candidates standing, she noted. Oh no. She thought that, oh man, I thought we got rid of this guy already. Now he's coming back, and he's actually doing really well. Oh man. Now this could be contested. Oh boy. Now, the article continues. From canapé-filled fundraisers on the coast to the cloakrooms of Washington, mainstream Democrats are increasingly worried that their effort to defeat President Trump in 2020 could be complicated by Mr. Sanders, in a political scenario all too reminiscent of how Mr. Trump himself seized the Republican nomination in 2016. Now, wait a minute. It could complicate efforts to defeat Trump. What? That doesn't make any sense. No, the guy in 2016 polled better against Trump consistently, and now what? He has even a better chance of defeating Trump this time around. However, when it comes to the establishment, well, they don't look at facts. They're like, oh no, our donors. That's what they're worried about. Some Democrats are beginning to ask, the article notes, how do they thwart a 70-something candidate from outside the party structure who is immune to intimidation or incentive and wields support from an unwavering base, without simply reinforcing his "the establishment is out to get me" message, the same grievance Mr. Trump used to great effect. And you know why? It's because it's true. Now, the Republican establishment quickly laid down and they bowed to Donald Trump. The same thing did not happen on the left. So let's be fair about that. Let's be real about that. Now, he's outside of the party, and he's not interested in incentives. You know what that means? It means that Bernie Sanders, and they know this, cannot be bought. They're saying, how do we control this guy if he's immune to our corrupt system? And at worst, he's actually trying to dismantle that corrupt system. He's trying to end our gravy train. And the other thing that paragraph tells us is that since they can't co-opt him, the other thing that they're going to try is they're going to, again, try to destroy him. They just haven't figured out how to do that yet. They said, quote, this is the article, stopping Mr. Sanders, or at least preventing a contentious convention, could prove difficult for Democrats. You goddamn right. But here's the thing. Why would you want to stop him? He's the most popular politician in the country. He has a very loyal base. He's got gigantic fundraising numbers, incredibly popular policies that he brought into the mainstream, and has shown that he can stand up against attacks from the right wing, including from Donald Trump. Now, the answer to that, of course, is that they're afraid Bernie is actually going to make real change. And they do not want that. That's why they're the establishment. So now they're going to go to an old person that we have heard of before. Not a literal old person, but an old name that we've heard of. And that is David Brock. Now, if you guys remember, David Brock, former Republican, he was a guy who wrote horrific smears against Hillary Clinton before joining the Hillary Clinton team and then writing horrific smears against Bernie Sanders. It's almost as if a leopard doesn't change his spots. Now, part of what he did in 2016 is he spent $1 million on a literal troll army to attack Bernie Sanders fans, supporters. This is the attack dog. This is their hired gun. And the New York Times is going to quote him. He said, quote, there's a growing realization that Sanders could end up winning this thing, or certainly that he stays in so long that he damages the actual winner. And he's not saying that is a good thing. Now, he said, and this is key, he has had discussions with other operatives about starting an anti-Sanders campaign and believes it should commence sooner rather than later. An anti-Sanders campaign. Now, you want to talk about civility, right? You want to talk about running a non-negative campaign, right? Because right now you have establishment pundits saying the same thing. Civility, civility, civility. You cannot attack a fellow Democrat. You're going to help Trump. You can't do that. Those same people that are screaming about civility are now working on an anti-Sanders campaign. Now, I'm guessing it's not going to be based on policy. You don't bring in a smear merchant like David Brock to talk about regular policy disagreements, which there are some in the Democratic Party. No. What David Brock is there to do is to put a hatchet in the back of Bernie Sanders. He's going to go low. He's going to get dirty, because that's who David Brock is. He is a snake. And they're doing this because the donors are afraid. Again, you hire a hatchet man like Brock to do the dirty work of the establishment. Here's another quote from him. Mr. Brock, who supported, that's part of a quote, but part from the article. It wrote, Mr. Brock, who supported Mrs. Clinton's past presidential bid, said, quote, "The Bernie question comes up in every fundraising meeting I do." Stephen Ratner, a major Democratic Party donor, said the topic is discussed endlessly in his orbit, and among Democratic leaders, it is becoming hard to block out. More from the article. The matter of what to do about Bernie and the larger imperative of party unity has, for example, hovered over a series of previously undisclosed Democratic dinners in New York and Washington, organized by the longtime party financier Bernard Schwartz. The gatherings have included scores from the moderate or center-left wing of the party, including Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Majority Leader former Governor Terry McAuliffe of Virginia, Mayor Pete Buttigieg of South Bend, himself a presidential candidate, and the president of the Center for American Progress, Neera Tanden. Pete Buttigieg. Well, there's an answer to the question if Pete Buttigieg is progressive. Now, I never had that question, but I know some of you like Mayor Pete, might like Mayor Pete. Oh, he sounds nice. Well, that's who Mayor Pete is. He hangs around with Neera Tanden, and that tells you all you need to know about him. Now, again, the company he keeps, right? Pelosi, Schumer, Tanden. We found out today from another New York Times article that Tanden either punched or, in her words, I just pushed him a little bit, a former Think Progress editor when he asked Hillary Clinton about her disastrous Iraq war vote. That editor is Faz Shakir, right? And I said his name wrong, and I apologize that. But now Shakir works for Bernie Sanders, and now you can see why, right? And again, in the article, her mom, yes, I know, they quoted Neera Tanden's mom as saying, well, yeah, she did kind of, she got a little animated and decided to punch or push a Think Progress reporter. Now she says, oh, that's a great thing. I approve. When in reality, no, that's not a good thing. That's a terrible thing. So, look, again, Buttigieg hanging around with these establishment types, Neera Tanden, terrible, terrible person. But look, this is a fight that's been brewing, right? We knew this was going to happen one day or the other, right? That the establishment was going to come after Bernie Sanders. And thankfully, of course, we've been ready. We've been waiting for this rematch, right? We know all about the dirty tricks. We know all about the attacks, the methods, what ways they're going to use to attack us, and all of that. You got the money, you've got the think tanks, the bot armies, and the establishment behind you. But progressives, we have the people. And I think this time, we're going to win. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.